Chapter 13. Reaching for the Stars, Satellites, and the Dawn of the Space Age. Introduction. Welcome back to Famous Inventions and Inventors. In our previous chapters, we explored the strange world of quantum computing, learning how scientists are pushing the boundaries of what machines can do. This time, let's lift our eyes from the microscopic world of particles to the vastness above our heads. There was a time when people could only dream of touching the stars. That changed in the 20th century when a new invention launched humanity into the space age: the satellite. Today, satellites circle high above us, guiding our journeys, connecting our calls, and revealing secrets about our universe. But how did it all begin? And where might this journey take us next? What is a satellite? A satellite is any object that orbits around another object in space. The moon is Earth's natural satellite, circling our planet for billions of years. But when people talk about satellites today, they usually mean artificial satellites, human-made machines sent into orbit. These devices come in many shapes and sizes. Some are as small as a lunchbox, while others are as big as a school bus. But all satellites share a purpose: to observe, to communicate, or to explore. How do satellites work? Satellites travel at amazing speeds, up to 28,000 kilometers per hour, about 17,500 miles per hour, to stay in orbit around the Earth. At these speeds, gravity keeps them falling toward the planet, but their momentum keeps them moving forward, creating a continuous circle around the globe. Satellites carry various instruments and antennas, depending on their job. Communication satellites relay phone calls, television signals, and internet connections across continents and oceans. Weather satellites watch storms, track climate patterns, and help meteorologists forecast the weather. Navigation satellites, like those in the GPS system, help pilots, drivers, and even hikers find their way. Scientific satellites study the stars, measure the Earth's temperature, or search for signs of life on other planets. Spy satellites gather information for governments and military agencies. Every day, thousands of satellites quietly work above us, shaping the way we live and learn. A brief history of satellites. 1957. The space age begins. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. It's a shiny metal sphere, about the size of a beach ball, and it beeps as it circles Earth. The world is amazed and a little nervous. 1958. The United States launches Explorer 1, its first satellite, which discovers radiation belts around Earth. A global space race begins. 1960s. Satellites become vital tools. The first weather satellite, TIROS 1, sends back images of clouds from space. The Telstar satellite beams live TV signals across the Atlantic for the first time. 1970s. Present. Satellite technology advances rapidly. More countries launch satellites for research, navigation, and exploration. The International Space Station is assembled in orbit, becoming a laboratory and home for astronauts from around the world. Today, satellites are essential to modern life, connecting people across continents and helping us understand our changing planet. Inventors and pioneers in satellite technology. Sergei Korolev, often called the chief designer of the Soviet space program, he led the team that built Sputnik 1. Wernher von Braun, a German-American engineer who helped design rockets that sent the first satellites and people into space. Arthur C. Clarke, a writer and scientist who imagined communication satellites long before they existed. James Van Allen discovered Earth's radiation belts with data from Explorer 1. Katherine Johnson and NASA mathematicians calculated flight paths for early satellites and later, the first moon landings. How satellites changed our world. Communication. Satellites made global communication possible. Long-distance calls, live television broadcasts, and now much of our internet traffic travel through space.
Navigation.
The Global Positioning System, GPS, lets us find our way almost anywhere on Earth, on land, at sea, or in the air. Weather and environment. Satellites help us see hurricanes before they arrive, monitor deforestation, and study how our climate is changing. Science and exploration. Some satellites look deep into the universe, capturing images of distant galaxies or searching for planets beyond our solar system.
Disaster response.
After earthquakes, floods, or wildfires, satellites provide fast, accurate images to guide rescue and recovery efforts. A short story. Zara's message from space. Zara is a 12-year-old girl living in a small village in northern Nigeria. She loves learning about the world, but her school has few books. One day, her teacher announces that they will receive new lessons via satellite TV. That afternoon, Zara and her classmates gather around a small television, watching as a teacher in a distant city appears on the screen. For the first time, Zara hears English spoken by different voices, sees videos of rainforests and deserts, and even watches astronauts float inside the International Space Station. As the months pass, Zara grows more confident in her studies. She writes a letter to an astronaut, who reads it aloud during a live broadcast from space. Zara's friends and neighbors cheer as they hear her name sent back to Earth from hundreds of kilometers above. For Zara, satellites are not just machines in the sky. They are bridges, connecting her village to the wider world. Questions and challenges. As wonderful as satellites are, they also bring new challenges and questions. Space junk. Thousands of old satellites and rocket parts orbit Earth, creating hazards for new missions. How can we clean up space and prevent collisions? Access and control. Who owns space? Who decides how satellites are used, and who gets access to their data? Privacy. Satellites can take high-resolution pictures from orbit. How do we balance the benefits of observation with people's right to privacy? Inequality. While many benefit from satellite technology, some areas still lack access to its advantages. How can we make space technology available to everyone? The future. New ideas, like mega-constellations of thousands of satellites, promise to bring internet to the most remote places on Earth. But they also raise questions about space traffic and light pollution. Let's think together. How have satellites changed your daily life? Can you imagine life without them? What might happen if satellites stopped working? Should space belong to everyone, or only to those who can afford to launch satellites? How can we solve the problem of space junk? What new inventions could come from future satellites? Vocabulary list. Satellite. A machine placed in orbit around a planet or moon. Orbit. The path one object takes around another in space. Telemetry. The process of sending and receiving data over long distances. GPS. Global Positioning System, a network of satellites that provide location information anywhere on Earth. Space debris. Man-made objects in space that are no longer useful. Discussion questions. How do satellites help us communicate across the world? What are some dangers associated with too many satellites in space? How do you think satellite images help scientists? What kinds of jobs exist because of satellites? Could satellites help us explore other planets?
How?
To be continued. The story of satellites is still unfolding. Every year, more are launched to explore, observe, and connect our world in new ways. As we look up at the night sky, we can imagine the invisible web of technology helping us understand our planet and perhaps, someday, reach for others. In our next chapter, we might follow the story of how people began to live and work in space, aboard space stations, or we might return to Earth and explore another invention that shapes daily life. Until next time, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and remember, every invention starts with a dream. Shall we talk about something new next time? If so, how about one of these? Travel stories, creative tech tools, funny language mistakes, or life reflections?